I love that song. I love that song. The previous song we had chosen for the opening of The Truth got a copyright strike or whatever. So whoever's owns it had an issue with the previous song that we've been using. So I had to change it. I found a free one there on YouTube. And listen, as a YouTube creator, you can find some really interesting YouTube songs that you can use. Some of you remember the original Spill the Tequila song was a pretty badass song. And we may bring it back for the show on Tuesdays. They're live at 4 p.m. PT with me and Winston A. Marshall. Wrong one. Yeah, there you go. That's my plug sign. But yeah. So that's one I just stumbled on as I was looking for something hardcore. Because The Truth is in the vein of the Outlaw Nation, in the vein of the Outlaw Nation show, even though we are bidding goodbye to the Outlaw Nation officially by the end of next week, starting on the second week of, well, actually, this would be the second week coming up on. So a week from tomorrow, we will officially be the John Rocha channel fully. Next week, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this announcement at some point today on social media, is we'll just have old school Outlaw Nation week, do some of the old shows, bring back some of the old logos, some of the old openings and stuff, and have fun talking about, just finish wrapping up and saying goodbye to the Outlaw Nation as this becomes the John Rocha channel officially. And we'll, of course, institute all the new graphics now, and I've even held some back, which I'm excited to put up and show for the other stuff we got going on here on the channel. So excited for all of that. But yeah, you are here on The Truth. It is Sunday morning. I know I missed last week for a number of reasons, but I'm back this week, and I will be going live again at 3 p.m. PT for a separate show to do the live watch along of SummerSlam Night 2, WWE SummerSlam Night 2, which culminates with John Cena taking on Cody Rhodes for John Cena's heavyweight championship, WWE heavyweight championship. For those of you who missed Night 1 last night, my reaction's up on the channel, including my reaction with time code to Seth Rollins cashing in and winning the belt. So a lot of fun there as well. But we are here on The Truth to talk about what is happening in the July box office, talk about my tweet that I posted yesterday. Apparently got 800 plus comments, or almost 800 rather, comments on the tweet itself. Just only 4 or 5 of them from me, I think, because I tried to stay away from it. This new thing I'm doing now is when I post stuff, I'm trying to limit the amount of interaction that I have with my own tweets, because I find that we can slide into a really toxic place with people. Some people are there just to pick fights. Some people are there just to feel their oats going after someone who's got a bit of a following because they have no following, or they have a very small following and they just need attention. Some people bring up legitimate points, which I love going back and forth with, because I appreciate people who come in with intelligent, logical responses rather than condescending, snarky bullshit. I always appreciate that, because I love a good debate. And I don't mind being wrong, and I don't mind being right, and I don't mind being disagreed with. I enjoyed it. It's the way you do it that makes the difference. And so we're going to look at some of the comments to my tweet as there, because there's a very strong personal belief about these things I have. And we're also going to explore what's going on over this past weekend's box office. We're going to take a look at that new Spidey costume. A lot of people had comments about the new Spidey costume and their feelings on it. Some people even accusing Tom Holland of looking, quote, chunky in the costume, which is mind-blowing considering how in shape he is and how out of shape 95% of the fandom is in terms of geekdom and what have you, or at least not in the shape that Tom Holland is in, yet they feel the need to call out his body and in the costume and whatever, as if that costume is a forgiving costume, for God's sakes. There's no cape or anything. It's a tight costume. So yes, some pieces of your body are going to be very prominent or seen or whatever. And so it's madness. But anyway, we'll talk about all that, and we'll get into some of the responses through the Hulk tweet. The Hulk post or news or scoop that I broke in January, and how people are trying to take that and make it seem it's like as if it's their story. And I mean specifically Nexus Point News, who seems to have a hard-on about all of this. I mean, if new rock stars can give me credit, why is Nexus Point News being a cock about everything? It just is kind of mind-blowing to me when I look at it, because it's such a simple thing to just be like, first reported here, but we've reconfirmed and we've said this or that. And so it's just like, or the Hollywood Reporter, Boris Kidd over at the Hollywood Reporter, who does usually great work, and so So we'll talk about all of that. We'll get into it here on the show. And I appreciate you all hanging out with me. Almost 200 of you joining me live already. You know, you could be anywhere else. You could be laying out on a Sunday with a nice drink here in the morning, maybe a mimosa or a coffee, or even some of you drinking a beer or a bourbon early in the morning to kind of unwind from a long, exhausting week. I appreciate you all hanging out with me today to talk about all the stuff we got going on in the world of entertainment. So here's Charles already saying it's too early to say. Charles, there's box office prognosticators who've been doing this for a living, Charles, not you. So it's not too early to look at the underperformance of a movie when it is dropping astronomical levels because the studio thought it was going to do much better. So that's maybe our opening entryway into this. And I'm going to bring up the article here from Variety on the box office. So let's get, and just want to remind you all, the Streamlabs and Superchats are open if you want to send support to the soon-to-be John Rocha channel, to me, to the stuff I'm doing, or if you want to have your questions, thoughts, and comments read out loud here on the show, then please send in your Streamlabs and Superchats, which I think is pinned in the script. It's in the description, I think, yeah, and it's pinned in the chat. So send in your love. I will check them as we go along here throughout the show. And please remember to subscribe down below as well. Subscribe and hit that bell button so you see we're dropping all the content we do here on the Outlaw Nation, like episodes of The Truth, which will not be just a one time a week show. I will try to occasionally do another show through the week, depending on how news breaks and what have you. So we will see. But yes, Tyrant says he is having egg rolls and drinking water. Respect. I love egg rolls. I miss egg rolls. I used to have egg rolls here. There's a great place around here, a Chinese place around here where I get incredible egg rolls. All right. Anyway, let's get into the first conversation. Let's get into the box office. There's a lot of controversy around the box office for Fantastic Four. So let's get Variety's report, which was published this morning. Let's take a look at it. Let's get a little closer in on this one. Zoom in. Boom. All right. So here we go. Oh, and I'll take down my thing here and also put up a pleasing background. All right. And do I get a little bit bigger here? No, that's too big. All right, fine. We'll go with that one. Although I wish they would do one where it was a little bit bigger. Is that? No, that's not good. Is that good? Nah, that's not good. All right. Well, I'm learning as I go. Here we go. That's better. So we'll go this way. Okay, that's a better shot. All right, here we go. All right, Marvel's First Family might not save the day after all. The Fantastic Four is quickly losing steam in its second weekend. After a healthy 117.6 million debut, Fantastic Four suffered a hefty 66% drop in its sophomore outing with only 40 million from 4,125 theaters. Heading into the weekend, box office analysts anticipated a decline of 55 to 60% from its opening. By comparison, Superman dropped only 53% in its second weekend after launching to $125 million early in July. This painful fall is surprising because the Marvel tentpole has the benefit of positive reviews and word of mouth, as well as a clear runway in terms of competition. Although those ticket sales were enough to rank as number one on North American charts, the First Steps endured one of the steeper second week drops for Disney's MCU, better than the Marvels, which was down 78% on its second weekend, and somehow ranked 34th on Variety's top 54 Marvel films and TV shows. But in the company, it is in the company with that 66% drop of Captain America: Brave New World, which dropped 68% in its second weekend, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which dropped 70%, and Thor: Love and Thunder, which dropped to 67% on its second, or had a 67% drop in its second week. So let's just take a moment and think about that. This dropping 66%, which is only 2% off off of Brave New World, 4% off Quantumania, and 1% off of Love and Thunder. And arguably, Fantastic Four is the better movie by miles than those movies. Now, I personally have a soft spot for Quantumania. I know it's not a lot of people's favorite movie, and I totally respect that, but I enjoyed the film. I thought Love and Thunder was good with some issues. I mean, there's certainly issues with Gore the God Butcher and how that all went down, and they really fumbled the Thor, the Jane Foster becoming Thor, and the cancer storyline by playing it safe. Fantastic Four, I think, is a better made movie, a more consistently good movie, and one that I think holds up to rewatchability and is a joy. I've seen it 3 times now. It is such a joy of a movie. It surprises me to see it dropping 66%. So far, Fantastic Four has generated $98 million domestically and $368 million globally. And it says here, this is a little editorial license. Luckily for Marvel, whose output has been wildly consistent in the post-pandemic times, the first steps is pacing to outgross this year's prior theatrical disappointments of Captain America, Brave New World, and Thunderbolts. The final tally for Marvel for Fantastic Four won't be disastrous out of the Marvels, which finished at $206 million, or Thunderbolts, which finished at around 320 something million, I think. But it's not yet a return to box office glory for Marvel. However, the next 3 films should do that with Spider-Man Brand New Day, Avengers Doomsday, and Avengers Secret War. So it's a fascinating situation to look at this. And there's a lot of people who are questioning why this has happened. A lot of people have questions or have theories and speculation and conspiracies of why this happened. And I think there's a lot to consider with this, right? And look, a 66% drop for a middling to not good movie is to be expected. A 66% drop for a film that Marvel put a lot of eggs in their basket for is a bit shocking, to be honest. And it's very reminiscent of The Last Jedi, also under the Disney banner, where Kathleen Kennedy thought The Last Jedi was going to be amazing, so amazing that she gave Rian Johnson a trilogy before the film even came out. And then the film comes out. It does well in terms of making over $1 billion, I think. And then it absolutely splits the fandom and causes a complete rethink. And that should be a thing that people need to understand. People are like, well, it made a lot of money, therefore it's fine. It's clearly not. The studios still want the rub from the critics, rub from the fan bases. Even Transformers, moved away from Michael Bay, who had made $4.5 billion total with his steerage of the Transformers franchise. They went to Bumblebee, and Transformers 1 and was it Beasts, Robots in Disguise, whatever it was called, and it Rise of the Beasts, and none of those films came close to matching what the Michael Bay movies did. So sometimes you dance with a partner that brought you, and you got to stick it through some of the bad songs or some of the bad moments or some of the bad dances to hope you get back to a good dance. And now Michael Bay is back at Transformers. So, and then you look at this situation going on here with Marvel, and I saw some people coming after Marvel, and I totally understand it. But if you look at the Marvel universe, and one of my followers who's also an actor who I follow, who I like a lot, Luke Barnett, he tweeted something back at me, my tweet, and we'll get to my tweet in a second here. And he said something about Marvel and the fact that they're doing 3 to 4 movies a year, 12 TV shows. It's a lot for people to take in. And I get that. But I think it's all about quality, right? But then again, that kind of gets shot full of holes, that theory, because I think Fantastic Four was high quality. It was the reviews are overwhelmingly positive. It had an A- cinema score, which is exactly what Superman had. But yet it is dropping 66% on its second weekend. And it's not as confounding as you might initially think. I think there are a lot of factors that are involved here. And it isn't just a damage to them. It isn't Marvel just being damaged as a brand. Because as this Variety article just pointed out, and this was written by Rebecca Rubin, who does a really good job breaking down the box office over there, they anticipate that they're going to be back in box office glory with the new Spider-Man movie and the next 2 Avengers movies. And there might even be a Doctor Strange movie. Who knows if that's going to happen. And Jeff reported on the Hot Mic, Jeff Snyder reported on the Hot Mic that Black Panther 3 is being lined up for a 2028 release, which is 2 years from now, in a 2027 production, which is or 3 years from now. So sorry, 3 years from now with the production start date 2 years from now in 2027. So so this is a fascinating thing. People are like, oh, the brand is damaged. Well, Deadpool and Wolverine last year made over $1 billion. Okay. So this idea of the brand being like, people are like, okay, slow down. I don't want 3 Marvel movies a year. Great. We'll just give you 1. Now you're going to show up in 2025 and we're going to have 3 movies for you. Brave New World, which was an utter disaster behind the scenes. And clearly, people are like, oh, you need to save money. You need to save money. Well, how do you save money? Well, you hire a guy to direct a Captain America film who had done a middling TV series for you. And no surprise, you have a middling Captain America movie. Now, I know there are people who defend it. And I certainly thought the film was watchable. I enjoyed the film. It wasn't great or even really good, but it's watchable. But it underperformed the box office, and the response overall was one of disinterest after people saw it on opening weekend. And you can argue any number of points. I do not clock in with Kevin Feige's really stupid response of like, well, it's the first one without Chris Evans in it. And it's nonsense. You guys didn't make a good movie. It got messed up with COVID stuff and reshoots and drama and all the stuff behind the scenes. Anthony Mackie is not to blame for the underperformance of that movie. It just didn't do well because it wasn't, in the end, really well made by the writer and the director, okay? And Marvel got caught up in all these political things with the Israeli superhero and tried to play it safe, and then they changed the leader stuff. They brought in Harrison Ford and then tried to make him the focus of the movie as Red Hulk. It's a Captain America movie that's really a Red Hulk movie. And so there are all these kinds of things that they were, instead of just going, this is what we're going to do, we're going to take our chances, they put out a absolute Frankenstein level type movie, kind of like Joss Whedon's Justice League. When has that ever fucking worked out? I think Rogue One is like the rare time where you kind of go in and make some changes and hire somebody to come in and fix the film, right? Rogue One is the rarity, which grows in my estimation more and more. Kathleen Kennedy's decision to do that because it saved the movie. Now you can also say that I think Solo came out as a very tame, middle of the road effort. It's a fine movie, but bringing in Ron Howard to kind of smooth the edges. When you see all the success of Lord Miller, to me, I'm like, well, you should have just banked on Lord Miller, stuck to your guns, and then put it out and see what happens. I think audiences kind of in a subconscious level respect that more because you took a chance. But if you go in and start tinkering and start changing and start moving stuff around, then I think that ends up becoming something that affects people's responses to the movie. And it becomes obvious because this stuff gets reported and people read it and they go in and they have a mentality of, let's see if this is going to work. Let's see if they fix the problems, because they immediately remember the issues that happened with the movie when they go see it. For those people who read it, and that affects how they view the film. Both positively and negatively, rarely positively, usually negatively, in that situation. Fantastic Four had a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes as well. Jeff reported on a lot of this, broke some of the scoops there on the hot mic, how they were looking at Adam Driver. They were looking at Margot Robbie. They were looking at Emma Stone. They were looking at Javier Bardem. Now, I like the cast that they ended up with: Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, Evan Moss Bachrach, Ralph Ineson, and Julia Gardner. It's a very good cast in terms of talent. But in terms of movie superstar momentum, movie superstar energy, Pedro is still very unproven in that arena. He's very proven on TV. He's unproven to a degree on a large scale in franchises, and Vanessa Kirby as well, right? Vanessa Kirby, damn good actress. Yes, she's in the Mission Impossible movies, but she's not the focus of the Mission Impossible movies. Like if she was the Haley Atwell character, that's a separate conversation, right? Or the Rebecca Ferguson character, which I think she could have played both characters really well. That's a separate conversation, right? Vanessa's a very well-respected actress, Oscar nominations and what have you, and does incredible work. Loved her on The Crown. But how much are you attracted to seeing the movie because of those two? And then you throw in Joseph Quinn, who's a relatively new actor who was in Stranger Things, but in a terrible, a not good Gladiator 2 movie. Evan Moss Bachrach, another name that is really good TV-wise. The Bear, the first season of The Punisher was awesome, and other stuff, but not a really well-known box office commodity. Ralph Ineson is even less known than these guys, but a great character actor. Julia Garner, TV star. How well did Wolfman do with her as the star? So you got to look at that level, right? And let's be honest, this is the truth. So we're going to tell the truth, and they're not movie star quality to get people into the theater. So let's say you do this, because let's say Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Let's go back to Guardians of the Galaxy. How many of those are really well known? I mean, Cooper, I think Bradley Cooper, but you don't see his face. Vin Diesel, but you really didn't, a lot of people didn't know that was him doing Groot. And then you have Zoe Saldana, you have Dave Bautista, who's coming out of wrestling, and you have Chris Pratt coming off TV with Parks and Rec. What you got, though, was an auteur superhero filmmaker in James Gunn who understood how to direct an incredible superhero movie that overrode all those limited casting situations in terms of the public's knowledge of them. And so he did it. So you look at this movie and you go, well, who's the director? Well, it's Matt Shakman. And Matt Shakman is who now? Oh, wait, hold on. Am I okay with okay. Sorry, some people are saying, okay. I want to make sure the mic is good. Matt Shakman did WandaVision, which a lot of people enjoyed. Yes, it's top 10. It's not number 4, as Variety pandered to some of the comic book fan bases they have there by putting it at number 4, or their writers pandered by putting it at number 4. But it is absolutely a top 10 Marvel output show. That finale just almost killed the whole show, but whatever. So, yes, so you go, okay, let's take a chance with Matt Shakman. But again, that's a lower status director to come in and see what he can do, right? But all the tinkering behind the scenes, all the things of what it could have been, and in the end, I think it's a good movie. It's an enjoyable film. It put a smile on my face. But you had people coming against the movie, right? You had a lot of the foreign critics who were bashing the film, saying it was kind of silly or goofy. You had, and so, Superman had the same kind of negative reactions from some of the critics, that it was a little goofy, even though Lex Luthor shoots someone in the fucking head, But like, you have this thing with Fantastic Four, but it's coming after Thunderbolts underperformed. It's coming after Captain America: Brave New World. And I think you also have to throw into the mix the Fantastic Four brand. Well, I get it. And I've been quietly and slowly saying this. The Marvel fanboys and fangirls all go gaga for Fantastic Four as a brand. And we're like, we have been persecuted and wandered the deserts in pain because of the previous Fantastic Four movies. And look, that's valid. I don't like any of those Fantastic Four movies, the previous ones, including the Roger Corman one, which is unwatchable. Even though it stars a person I used to work with at Universal, Alex Hyde White. He was a wand keeper for a little while at Universal Studios, and it was a pleasure to get to know him. But you look at the Josh Trank one, it's the first 20 to 30 minutes are excellent, and then it falls completely off a cliff. And then those Tim Story ones, the less said about those ridiculous films, the better. I know some of you have a soft spot for those films, but they are not good. I recently rewatched them for a podcast that we did, the Geek Buddies did with our buddy, the Tuesday morning podcast that we did with him, and had some fun times talking about that movie on that podcast. So it was with such a good time. But like rewatching them, I just was like, what is this all about? These are not good movies. And of course, R.I.P. Julian McMahon. So people wanted a good Fantastic Four movie. They got a good Fantastic Four movie, but people aren't coming to see it. So it might be that it's the Fantastic Four brand that is not as beloved by the casuals as the in the comic book bubble people do. It's not as beloved as they love it. It's not as beloved for the casuals as it is by the people in the comic book bubbles. And that's clear when you look at the response. And you have to ask yourself, okay, that's an element here. And then it comes after Jurassic World Rebirth. It comes after Superman, right? And you look at this and you have to say, because you're looking at the box office right now for Jurassic World. Where are the numbers right now with Jurassic World? Hold on. 760 something, I think is what it is. Right. Jurassic World Rebirth was in the top 5 still. A month later, top 5 in the box office with 8.4 million on its 5th weekend of release. It has grossed $317 million in North America and $766 million globally. Superman made 13.9 in its 4th weekend of release, 13.9 million. It has $316 million domestically behind Jurassic World Rebirth. Some people are saying we're trying to tell you that it was leading the way domestically. It's not. Jurassic World still has the pole position domestically of the July films, and $551.2 million globally to date. So 551. So you say to yourself, okay, how do I take this? Because you look at Fantastic Four, it is at $368 million globally. It'll probably get to 550. And already you see people coming out the same way they came out with Superman. I mean, if you're a DC person and you're a Superman defender and you're saying, look, they were just trying to redeem the brand of DC and it's okay that they made under $600 million, or may not, or might not make won't make $700 million. It's okay. Maybe if it's going to make like 600 or a little bit under 600, it's okay. If you're turning around and then bashing Fantastic Four, if it only tops out at 500 or 600, then you really need to look at the hypocrisy in your point of view, because Marvel is a damaged brand right now in a lot of ways, like DC was during the Snyder time and subsequent movies. And the Fantastic Four brand arguably is a damaged brand because of previous iterations. And so you look at that and you go, there's so many factors into why Fantastic Four is not burning up the box office like it should. And Marvel coming out to defend it now, to say, or people coming out to defend the film saying, well, this is they're just trying to ramp up to Spider-Man, ramp up to Doomsday. That is not the mentality Marvel had with this movie, y'all. Don't be ridiculous. Don't start moving the goalposts. Again, this is the truth. And the truth was that Marvel thought this film was going to make a shit ton of money. They thought they had a real winner that was going to appeal to 4-quadrant people or the 4 quadrants of film goers, and was going to be stacking them into the box office to see a family-friendly film in the summer when school is out and families are together and kids are available to go see this movie. They thought they were going to make a lot of money. And I'll tell you why, because they sank so much money into the marketing. They sank so much money into the marketing. They sank so much money into all these things. You don't see a Thunderbolts lunchbox. They sank so much. They did all kinds of marketing across the world globally. They had that event. Well, all 4 of the actors came out on a live YouTube event, just like they did with the chairs for Avengers Doomsday. They had a whole live event to launch the trailer and bring everybody out. And they pressed the button to launch the trailer. There were all kinds of hype. And let me tell you something from my own personal experience, speaking to people who are connected to Marvel, is what I would say without revealing too much. They internally, I know from speaking to people connected to Marvel, that they internally felt this film was going to do gangbusters at the box office. So don't insult us by saying, well, you got to remember that it's just ramping up to these other things. And this is a good way to save the brand. that is all Sunday morning or Monday morning quarterbacking or moving of the goalposts, shall I say, rather, on this whole situation. Because Monday morning quarterback is more about, saying it should have dropped in November, which a lot of people are doing now. But like, this is the situation. And Jeff said that first on our show, regardless of where you see it at other places. Jeff is the one who mentioned it on the hot mic that maybe it should have come in November. And that was weeks ago. Regardless of where you're seeing it in other places, from people who are YouTube personalities and pro wrestlers at the same time. Pro amateur wrestlers at the same time. But this thing you see here is that's the situation with all of this, is that there's a lot of factors here, and Marvel had a high expectation for this movie. So yes, it's fair to look at this movie and question its underperformance and question Marvel's decisions on when they released the film, who they cast in the film, who they hired to direct the film, who they hired to produce the film, who they hired to write the film, and then why wasn't this able to get across, and how did they miscalculate the brand awareness and the excitement for this movie from its own fan base? That is a legitimate thing to be considering here, to be looking at, to be talking about, to be factoring into the whole situation. Now, what does this mean for Marvel? I think this is a very interesting question, honestly, because you're coming off of 3 films that are all underperforming. Now, you thought Captain America: Brave New World, that it was going to be a miracle if it did well, and it didn't. So the miracle was not achieved. Thunderbolts, there was a desperate push for this film, and even dropping that spoiler alert, turn me down for a second, even dropping that new Avengers thing at the end was an attempt to get people into the theater to see the movie. Again, miscalculation. Good movie. I like Thunderbolts. I think it's a damn good film. Now, is it on the level of some of the great films of Marvel? No. I think there are story issues. I think there are convenient plot things. And the fact that they're now saying, Feige said that whatever happened in Thunderbolts didn't affect anyone else in New York. Again, this is where you get frustrated with Marvel, because they are constantly now in a state of damage control all the time. Hey, you know what? These movies don't have to tie in unless we want them to tie in, and they don't have to tie in, though, and we'll pick and choose when they tie in. Come on. Like, it's just ridiculous. Again, own up to your shit. Own up to what you did. Stop hiding behind bullshit. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth about what's actually going on here. And it seems like Marvel is in a state of disarray with some of the miscalculations. Hell, even the Robert Downey Jr. return was not received at the level that they anticipated. So I think this is a punch in the mouth for Marvel, really hard punch in the mouth. I think they expected, what the hell is going on? I think they expected, I need to turn off that notice. I think they expected Brave New World to not do well. I think they expected Thunderbolts to maybe slightly underperform, but maybe become like that little engine that could and that had legs and held on. But in the end, that didn't happen. But it was clear, and you could sense from the energy and the promotional campaigns that they were powering through Brave New World and powering through Thunderbolts so they could get to Fantastic Four, because they thought, look, I'll do this workout with Brave New World. I'll do this extra workout with Thunderbolts because I got cake waiting for me at the end of this workout, or I got an awesome meal. I got an omelet and pancakes waiting, or a burrito, whatever. I got something I really want to eat waiting for me at the end of this. So I'm going to power through these workouts so I can earn this. And essentially that's what they were doing. And that was the energy that they were giving off. And so please don't let people try to tell you that this is something Marvel should be happy about, or Marvel, this should be encouraged about, or people are overreacting to this. Nonsense. Utter nonsense. Marvel had very, very high hopes for this movie. And if this movie doesn't even make 600, it is, to me, a flop. Maybe not financially, but intentional wise, it is a flop of intentions because they wanted this film to be gangbusters, to redeem the Marvel brand, to make people feel squishy and happy again. Because as positive as they were about Deadpool and happy as they were about those numbers, that's not a Marvel, that's not an MCU, that's not a Kevin Feige MCU property. Those are two Fox characters in an MCU movie making money. I don't think they even think as well as the Spider-Man movies have done and have been received by the fan base, that's still Sony involved in that, you know? And so Marvel hasn't had a straight hit for quite a bit from its own coffers, from its own side of the fence without help from other studios. And so I think they were hoping that this would be it. And I know this is a Fox, these were under the Fox characters, but it was very clear that they were coming in and they recast, right? I mean, Wolverine was Hugh Jackman again, and Deadpool was Ryan Reynolds again. This is a complete recast of Fantastic Four. This is the MCU's telling of the Fantastic Four story. And sadly, it has not caught on with moviegoers. And it's an issue. It's an issue. And I don't think it's about quantity or output. I don't. Because no one cared about, what did I say to Luke? No one cared about outputs, 3 to 4 movies a year when it was, what did I say here? What did I say to Luke? Hold on. I know I tweeted this out. I don't remember. Where is it? Oh, well, I had it and maybe I lost it here from Luke. So yeah, so the replies don't always come up. But anyway, I said to him basically, no one cared. Here, let me bring up the Marvel movies because I want to make sure that we look at the Marvel movies in order, so people have an idea of what was going on. Because people are like, it's too much. It's too much. The TV shows, I'm not going to fight you on the TV shows. I think people are right about the TV shows. But if you look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? You look at this situation here. Where am I? Here we go. Let's go a little bit in. Let's zoom in a little bit. All right. So what was I saying? 2007. So, okay, people are like 3 to 4 movies a year. Okay, fine. That started in 2017. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok. Arguably 3 good movies, although Volume 2 was a little bit kind of mixed in the reaction, but arguably good overall. 2017, no one's complaining about 3 Marvel movies a year. 2018, Black Panther, Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, all 3 very well received. Ant-Man and the Wasp was maybe the only one that's a little bit middling on the response. But overall, did well at the box office, was received well. Oscar nominations for Black Panther for Best Picture. Then you get 2019 in Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home. All 3 of those films, I'm sorry, Homecoming was well received, so 2017 is fine. 2019 is when we get Far From Home. That's the one that got a little bit of middling response from people, but that's 3 movies. Yes, you argue about Captain Marvel, but Avengers Endgame was an absolute banger, and it's number 1 on Variety's list. I think a lot of people have Endgame at number 1. I personally have Infinity War higher, but I get it. And Far From Home. Far From Home is there and did well at the box office, and people enjoyed that movie. So Captain Marvel was the only one that was like kind of universally not liked by a lot of people, but it still made $1 billion. And yes, I know it's between Infinity War and Endgame, so you have to qualify that, and that's fine. But still, no one's complaining about 3 films a year here. Then we get to 2021, and this is where you might sense the wheels are a little shaky. Post-COVID, people are angrier. Well, not post-COVID. I guess we're in the middle of COVID, but people are angrier. They're more demanding. They're frustrated. You get Black Widow. I think Black Widow is a good movie. Not great, but good, solid. And Yelena Belova is a fantastic character, and Florence Pugh is a great addition to the MCU. Shang-Chi is incredible. I love that movie. A fucking crime that we're still 4 years later and no damn sequel to that movie. That was really well received by a lot of people. Eternals was the stinker in the bunch, even though there are people who defend that movie. And then Spider-Man No Way Home absolutely wrecks the box office for $1 billion. when people are coming out of COVID, going to theaters. I mean, people were complaining about, well, you got to adjust your expectations. People will come for the things they want to come and see. And that was 4 movies in 2021. And again, no one was complaining about 4 movies in 2021 because you had a good Black Widow, a damn good Shang-Chi. Yeah, not a great Eternals, even though it has its defenders, and a hell of a movie in Spider-Man No Way Home. Although some people now try to claim it's not a good movie. You guys are crazy. Get off the crack. And then we get to 2022, we get 3 movies. We get Multiverse of Madness, which I think is a shit pile, but it made almost $100 million, made $1 billion, almost $1 billion. Thor: Love and Thunder, not that well received, clearly. Wakanda Forever, a lot of people didn't like that movie because it was trying to fit too much stuff in there. But overall, it was received well and did well at the box office. So 2022, bit shaky, shakier than 2021 in terms of quality and the response from the fan base. Then we get into 2023, and you have Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which people loved, The Marvels, which people didn't. So there you go. There's where things, I think, really start to hit. And this is only 2 years ago. This is where Marvel is now taking punches in the face. The TV shows, which we'll get to in a second, those situations going on there. So you've got a terrible Marvels movie. I know some of you all love it. Some of you defend it, so I respect that, but this is my opinion. And I just didn't like that movie at all. Although I like the chemistry of the 3 actresses, the film itself was just not good. Guardians of the Galaxy, people loved Volume 3, although I think there are a couple of story issues in Volume 3, but overall, a damn good movie. Quantumania, as I said, that's a guilty pleasure of mine, but I totally get people not liking that movie, and certainly that was a movie people pointed to and did not like. Deadpool and Wolverine, 1 movie in 2024. One. And it made over $1 billion. And then we get the law of diminishing returns in 2025 with Brave New World, Thunderbolts, and now Fantastic Four: First Steps, which, listen, people, 66% drop. It's going to drop even steeper next week. That's the thing that is really scary. We're looking at a 70, possibly 80% drop. And I think Variety put out a stat that it was an 80% drop from the Friday box office of the opening weekend of Fantastic Four: First Steps to this past Friday's box office. There was an 80% drop. I've rarely seen those stats put out, but clearly those are stats that indicate that this movie is not being well received by the fan base and by the casuals, or at least not getting the interest of the fan base for repeat viewing, and especially not getting the interest of the casuals. And so you look at that situation and say, okay, so that's a problem there. Let me see if I can bring up the TV shows in order. And that's where I think we start to get into some real problems with the Marvel brand, right? So you start to look at this stuff. Here we go. Where's the MCU? Oh, yeah, here we go. All right. Okay, you guys can see that. All right, so yeah, you have WandaVision, which a lot of people loved. Falcon Winter Soldier, which I think is a middling show. Loki, which is great. First season of Loki is great. What If was great. And then Hawkeye. So that is 5 shows in 1 year. And remember, this is COVID. And this is the same year as Shang-Chi and Black Widow, and the other films that came out in 2021. So this is where I think Luke has some logic to what he's saying, because he was saying it's too much that people have been buried by with all this stuff. 5 TV shows in 2021, plus Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, and Spider-Man No Way Home. That is excessive. And maybe it is 2021, although the films themselves are good for the most part, that you start to look at Marvel taking on too much. And of course, a lot of people are like, well, Chapek. Well, it was Chapek and Iger and Feige. Please stop. And I want to encourage you all, stop thinking Kevin Feige is some employee who gets pushed around by whoever's in charge. Cut it out. Cut it out. The man has a very strong voice in that room. So does Chapek, so does Iger. Yes, these were decisions made to try by Chapek with Iger's encouragement, because Iger started the ball rolling on this. Please do not remove blame from Iger here. Don't be simple and just blame Chapek. This is a complex situation. So this was a mentality of the company that this is what we're going to do. The board could have easily been like, no, it's too much. We vote to stop this. And Chapek would have not been able to do it. Right? So there's a lot of complicity in this decision. And it was done because they thought streaming was going to take off. They thought they would get people on board with this stuff. But in the end, it didn't quite come off. Falcon and Winter Soldier was a truncated show because of COVID. Loki was well received. What If was well received. But I mean, how many of the Marvel casuals were watching an animated series called What If? Not that many. And I think Hawkeye is a damn good show, even though I know there are some people who don't like it. But then we get into 2022. It gets to be really divisive. And this is the real how can I say this? Emergence of the anti-woke MCU people and their YouTube channels pushing these narratives. Some elements of it valid, most elements of it mocked up rage, faux outrage, with Moon Knight, Ms. Marvel, and She-Hulk Attorney at Law. Arguably, that's a tough threesome. I'm not going to deny that. Moon Knight was not that well received. It was kind of middling in the reception. Ms. Marvel was really divisive. There were a lot of defenders, but then there were a lot of detractors on that show. And I think there are cases that you can make for both sides on that show. I think that show worked when it really worked, and when it didn't work, it really didn't work. And then She-Hulk Attorney at Law, I thought was a show that, again, as I said earlier, played it too safe. They tried to make it a comedy, a situation comedy, but it didn't quite come off as strongly as it could have. And that finale, which I didn't mind the finale. I got what they were going for, but I also thought they didn't earn that finale to take that kind of chance. In the end, when you take She-Hulk Attorney at Law as a whole, it's slightly disappointing on my end. I know it's massively disappointing for other people, and other people really liked it. So, but either way, you can say all three of these shows were not that well received in a year overall, in a year where we had Multiverse of Madness, which I said, or it was not good. Love and Thunder wasn't good. And Black Panther Wakanda Forever was getting hit for trying to shove in too much at once. So you saw that. You saw that in this. So 2022 is a rough year for Marvel. 2021 is a rough year for Marvel. So when you look at it as a whole, right? Not just the movies, when you look at it as a whole. So this is an increasing type of thing. And then 2023, you get Ant-Man. Oh, sorry. That's the movies we already talked about. 2023, you get Secret Invasion, that is an utter crap pile of a show. Loki season 2, which was a respite from all of it. What If season 2, which was good, I thought, and enjoyable. And so that's 2023 mixed in with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and the Marvels. So again, another tough year for Marvel. So people are like, I see people going like, Quantumania was the movie that destroyed it. That is so simplistic and nonsensical that it's almost insulting. You have to take things in context. You have to take things as a whole and look at the minutia of it all, the sum of it, the parts that lead to the sum of its parts. You have to look at everything so that you can properly assess it. So for me, when I come out of all of this, and we get into 2024, Echo, Agatha All Along, Friendly Neighborhood. Oh, that's 24 is two things. So Echo, not that well received, a watchable show, but not great. Agatha All Along, a lot of fun, good show, but still not 100% great. And I think people, how can I say this? I think people slightly overpraise that show because it's not as bad as the shows that came before it. I think people are like, oh, Eddie Murphy had an old bit where he talked about that if you've been wandering in the desert for like 40 years, when you eat a cracker for the first time, that is like the greatest cracker you've ever had, and you really savor that cracker because you haven't had a cracker in years of being in the desert, wandering in the desert. And I think that's what Agatha All Along was to a degree, is that people were like, oh my God. And same thing with Loki season 2. Now that I think it's slightly over, I think Loki season 2 is excellent. But I think people were so excited about it because they liked it so much, And so I think the fan base is there for Marvel for all, and Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man and then Daredevil Born Again a bit middling in 2025, but Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, that was a good first season of a show. I love that show. So I think right now, when you look at Marvel from 2021 on, and I'm probably not saying anything that some of you haven't already thought or said on your own YouTube shows or with your friends or to yourself. This has been like the latter rounds of a fight. Marvel was really like winning the fight in the first six rounds. But rounds 7, 8, and 9, they are taking a bit of a beating. They're getting occasional jabs in. They're having that moment where they string together a few punches, but they're taking a lot of beatings in round 7, 8, and 9. And now in 10, it looked like although they were taking hits at the beginning of round 10, it looked like they were rallying. And now we see that rally didn't last as long as we thought. So they've got to really save the fight in rounds 11 and 12, which are essentially the Spider-Man movie and the 2 Avengers movies. That's what we're looking at. This is a heavyweight fight. Marvel was winning the fight, but couldn't quite get the knockout. Now they're in trouble. And everything they're doing is, for the most part, not working overall. Some of the stuff, they've had moments of stuff working, which is those, combination of punches. But overall, they're still against the ropes getting walloped. They're still in the fight. They're still in the ring. They haven't gotten knocked out, but maybe they've been knocked down a couple of times. And now we go into 2020, as I said, 2026 with Avengers Doomsday. Oh, sorry, Spider-Man Brand New Day, then Avengers Doomsday, and then Secret Wars. Now, the Spider-Man Brand New Day, that's going to be fascinating. As I said, already people are criticizing the costume. Or do we have the costume? I think we have the costume. Hold on. Let me see if we can find that costume. I don't want to play the video because I don't want to get a strike. So let's stop sharing here and put me in the single. All right. Here we go. So he reveals the costume. Where is the images? Okay, so yeah, there's the costume. So let's bring this up. There's the costume, right? Yeah, there you go. Oh, I see. I can't do because I guess it goes to another thing. This is what happens when I don't have a tech person. So yeah, here's the costume. I think there's nothing wrong with it. I think the costume is cool. The spider is bigger. I think the webbing is elevated. If I'm correct on that, it's a bit shinier. It has shades of the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield costumes, a little bit of like homages, which may be on purpose because a lot of rumors about both of them coming back in some way, shape, or form. I personally don't have any news or knowledge that they're coming back necessarily, but there's rumors of it. Destin Daniel Cretton is directing this, so it's not John Watts. Is it going to work? I mean, Destin Daniel Cretton directed Shang-Chi, which a movie I liked, but I know it didn't get a sequel. And there are some people now who are kind of bashing the movie on the message boards on social media for a number of reasons. That finale, the stuff with, is it Terrence? I forget his name. But yeah, the stuff with him, the Ben Kingsley character. So there's things there. So I like the costume. I think the costume is great. But already people are criticizing that. So the expectations are going to be high because it's not John Watts. It's Destin Daniel Cretton, who's a good filmmaker, but not what we've seen before with John Watts in those 3 films. So how is that going to be received? And the big one, of course, is are they going to make the RDJ as Dr. Doom thing work? And already you're hearing the rumors that they want to keep RDJ on. Because I've been talking straight for 55 minutes without a drink. Hold on. Sometimes I'm like a fucking camel. But they want to keep RDJ on to go past Secret Wars. And I think now, as you see the reception of Fantastic Four, you see the reception to Brave New World, to Brave New World, to Thunderbolts, and even some people in their response to the Spidey costume. Nothing is a given for Marvel anymore. So the RDJ stuff now feels even more like desperation. And there were even some X-Men rumors that dropped, which I'll get to in just a second. But the RDJ stuff, is it going to work? They're paying him, I think it was, what was it, $80 million or something like that. And I was like, I'm cool. I tweeted about it. I said, get your bag, get your money. That franchise made what, $51 billion or something like, or 31 billion, something, whatever it is, 51, I think for $51 billion off of you being in their movies. And really the Spider-Man stuff is very attached to RDJ as Tony Stark. So yes, get your bag. But the question becomes, now with all the moves they've made, are they going to get this right? And you're bringing the Russo brothers back. Spotty track record since they left Marvel. There is a very real possibility that we're looking at the end of the MCU if this doesn't work. Now, X-Men's going to go on and they'll do films, but I think we're looking possibly at either the end of the MCU as we know it, and that it will never hit the heyday and the heights that it did before, kind of like Pixar, right? Like Pixar, we all sense that it's never going to quite hit the heights that it did before for a number of reasons. But it never will, it seems like. And I think the same thing here with Marvel. There might be stretches of time, like a couple of movies in a row, we're like, oh, it's great. But if Doomsday doesn't knock it out of the park, and then Secret Wars doesn't knock it out of the park, then I think we're in trouble. And this, to me, is madness that they're already putting the cart before the horse by going forward with X-Men, going forward with possibly the Russo brothers, possibly being in charge of X-Men. Like, man, there's a lot of danger ahead. There's a lot of minefields ahead for Marvel right now. And it's a shame because I'm a Marvel lover. I'm a DC lover as well. You know, I defend Man of Steel. I liked Wonder Woman. I liked The Suicide Squad. I wanted Ben Affleck to remain Batman. And I liked the most recent Superman. I liked it a lot. Way more than I thought I would. But you want what's best. You want them to succeed. You want them to do well because you want to be entertained. Not because I'm a shill or supporting the brand or, you know, my livelihood depends. Please, I can talk movies about whatever movies. I don't care. I have a very deep knowledge of film. You know, this stuff is just fun to talk about. So if Marvel goes away, DC goes away, I'm still going to be in business doing what I'm doing, talking about this stuff because I love movies. So I want them to do well, though. And so you're seeing the situation because I love being entered. I love seeing the comic books come to life. I mean, there's such a joy in that a lot of us have still in this space, in this business. A lot of us have a joy with it. So it's tough to see Marvel here in this position. And look, I know people are like, well, we don't know what it's going to do. Come on, a 66% drop. It's not like next week it's going to bounce back and it's going to have these legs. We've all seen this show before. We all know exactly what happens. This isn't The Greatest Showman. This isn't Elemental. This isn't that kind of movie. This is Fantastic Four from Marvel. You know, and there's a different set of expectations. There's a different set of responses that the public has to films like this. And so, yeah, I don't buy the five. As I said, I don't buy that it'll be fine if it makes $500 to $600 million. I actually think it's not a good sign, but we'll see what happens. Is Destin Daniel Cretton going to get it right? That Wonder Man series, already hearing all kinds of mixed responses about that Wonder Man series. That's kind of dangerous. Oh, yeah, my protein shake, man. But the X-Men stuff, which I kind of teased a little bit here, yesterday, where is it? Kevin Feige on why Jake Schreier is the right choice to direct X-Men. He has his pulse on a younger demographic because X-Men, as it was in the comics, will be a very youth-oriented, focused, and cast movie. We saw that in his response last week, right? Cosmic Marvel is reporting that Fantastic Four reportedly exceeded what Disney expected. That is such a lie. I mean, that is such a lie, guys. I don't understand why Disney's just handing them their marching orders to say this kind of stuff, and it's just nonsense. Where is this? I saw it. Oh, I saw it yesterday. I wish I'd. Sorry, guys, I didn't have the tweet ready to go. But someone was mentioning that X-Men was going to focus on certain characters that we've seen. Oh, is this it? Yeah, here we go. Now, this take it with a grain of salt. This is from a person named @DivinitySeeker1. I don't know this person, but a lot of people are picking up this rumor that all three, Kamala Khan, Billy Maximoff, and Tommy Maximoff, will all be part of the upcoming X-Men movie. That's a fascinating situation if it's true. That's a fascinating situation if it's true. Because that is a mutant saga situation. And they're clearly using the X-Men as a launching pad for the mutant saga situation and the X-Men itself. So I don't think those three are going to be X-Men. And if they are, I think you can kiss. I think the Young Avengers is gone. This idea of a series called Champions and blah, blah, blah. I mean, if Marvel takes another couple of hits, man, there's going to be a complete and utter revamping of this universe from the brand, from Disney, from Marvel, from the board, from everybody involved. If Spider-Man Brand New Day comes out, it underperforms. If Doomsday comes out, it's kind of mixed reception. If Secret Wars comes out and doesn't hit the landing, then I think there's going to be a lot of rethinking of a lot of shows. I mean, Kevin was essentially hinting at that in the response. And I don't work for Kevin, so I don't have to call him Mr. Feige. But Kevin was saying in the response to it all last week when he was asked about all these characters that were introduced in the previous phases, the last couple of phases, he was essentially hinting that he's going to call them anyway. So thinking any of these characters are coming back or any of these movies or plans are going to happen, I think everything is in flux now. No matter what their PR people are floating out to their writers at Penske Media-owned publications, Marvel expected this movie to do better. It expected to bring smiles back to people's faces. It expected this film to be at the $800 million range so that people were back on board with the Marvel brand and were looking forward to the content coming from Marvel. Now, if this film underperforms, you're going to have people, and it seems like it is going to, it's very clear that it's going to, at least in what I see from the assessment here. You're going to have people who are very nervous about what's next. And I think, sadly, it's going to lead to more rejiggering, rethinking, changing things as Marvel has done. I mean, Kevin Feige floated that nonsense that they've never gone into shooting a film without a finished script, which is utter hogwash. Even Rebecca Romaine Stamos said at a convention over the weekend that she's not sure if she's done shooting her Mystique stuff because the script is still being written. So, there's so many things that are up in the air right now with Marvel that there's a lot of ways it could go. A lot of ways it could go. We will see, man. All right. And it seems, I love this. Yobby says, don't keep underestimating DC. Penguin has now done any. Yeah. I mean, this is a fair point, man. This is the perfect storm for DC to step in and take control of the comic book universe. But unfortunately, they're following up Superman with Clayface and with Supergirl. Now, look, I'm on board with Supergirl. But of course, I'm in a comic book bubble. So I'm in a comic book bubble. That's all I'll say. Most of the casuals, I think, would be much more interested in a Wonder Woman film or a Batman film. But this is the thing. So they're essentially ceding the comic book crown back to Marvel by letting them essentially go through Spider-Man, Brand New Day, Doomsday and Secret Wars almost untouched by DC, because Supergirl's not going to rival any of those movies. Clayface is not going to rival any of those movies. If Superman is going to top out at maybe 600 million, what do you think Supergirl is going to do? Come on. Superman is a much more well-known brand name than Supergirl. So heavy spoilers. My brother Heavy Spoilers brought that up this morning, saying how I don't think following Superman up with Supergirl and Clayface was a wise decision now in retrospect. And he's right. He's right. Right now, Marvel is on, as I said, they're on their heels against the ropes, getting walloped by Superman, by the public's indifference to their movies overall. And this would have been the great opportunity for DC and James Gunn to slide in with a Batman movie at the end of the year, a Wonder Woman movie next spring. Instead, we're getting Supergirl, which, again, I'm looking forward to. And we're getting Clayface, which I'm way less looking forward to. And it's a shame, So it could have been gangbusters here. Whew. All right. Now, let's move on to my tweet. And this is going to be a controversial tweet. So, you guys can be pissed off at me if you want. But I feel like I need to clarify or not clarify, what I need to bring up what I said and have a conversation about. Blah, 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 blah. Here it is. All right. So this is the tweet. Some of you may not be familiar with this tweet, but I put this up yesterday. Oh, let me take my thing down. Zoom in. All right. And I said this. Where's the other one? There we go. I said, and I'll get it even closer. Can I get even closer on that? I don't know if I get even closer on that, but we'll see. Basically, what I said is some people won't want to hear this, but it might be time to stop putting all the blame on studios or creatives for underperforming movies. It might be time to start looking at the intelligence level of moviegoers. If a phenomenally stupid film like Jurassic World Rebirth, and it was stupid, can crush films like Superman and Fantastic Four, and yes, they did crush Superman, $250 million difference, that's crushing, then something might be wrong with all of us and not the studios or the creatives. I probably should have said, and not just the studios or the creatives, but I was rushing through something. And so, but I think I would like to think people got the point when I said all the blame, because people just want to blame the studios and the creatives for this situation. And I think a lot of people are afraid in our space to say anything negative about people who watch these movies because they're desperate for subscribers and to keep their people watching them, and they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings who might be a patron or a member of their YouTube channel and whatever. But you guys fucking know me. I'm going to tell you what I feel. And yes, I will call some of y'all out, and I will praise some of you all depending on the situation and your responses. It's called the truth. You always get the truth from me. There's no sugarcoating bullshit going on this channel. The John Rocha channel, soon to be. New name, same outlaw energy. That's going to be the catchphrase on the banner. And the thing is, that's the situation here. I think, yes, there's definitely blame to go to the creatives and the studios for some of the output that they've put out over the years, right? But there's also blame for the moviegoers. if the moviegoers consistently patronize films, and patronize, I mean by buying tickets and going to see it, not ridiculing it, patronize these films like Jurassic World Rebirth to the point where they're making $800 million or $900 million or $1 billion. And some of you hated Transformers movies, and I totally get. Some people try to come after me for my liking like, it's just hilarious to me. Like, I never said those movies were fucking cinema. People who are Jurassic World defenders, Jurassic Park defenders, claim that a lot of those movies are fucking cinema. And that's nonsense. Utter nonsense. The action sequences in the Transformers films are fucking phenomenal, just as the action sequences in Jurassic World or Jurassic Park are fucking phenomenal. Don't give me that shit. They're both incredibly well choreographed action sequences in both of those franchises. It's just some critics and some moviegoers have attached their noses to Jurassic World and Jurassic Park and look down on Transformers because they see their franchise, which is an utter mess of a fucking franchise, as somehow elevated above Transformers. Get on the fuck out of here, man. They think they're telling you Harvard-level science, and it's community college level science what they're putting out with these Jurassic World, Jurassic Park movies. And I can say that because I graduated from a fucking community college, kissed my ass, and then went to a 4-year college at Florida State, graduated from that. So I know what I'm talking about. So you look at this stuff, and that's my point, is that we have to stop letting moviegoers ourselves off the hook, right? How can we blame people in every other area of our world? Politics, sports, any other area of the world, people get blamed for patronizing things they shouldn't be patronizing, or encouraging certain things to happen in the world. TV shows, like there are people who encourage, like those. I mean, how many of you all watch those Real Housewives shows? That's some toxic madness, those shows. But there's a whole bumper crop of industry, and the Kardashians, all that kind of shit. And then you wonder why we're in the shithole we're in now as a country. Like, that's the thing. Everything is connected. Everything. It's not like moviegoers are somehow, these pristine, safe figures that should be protected at all costs in a little snow globe and no one should say anything. Get on the fuck out of here, man. We have to be honest about this stuff. And as I said, I think studios and creatives are to blame, but so are moviegoers, because we decide what movies these people make, and the level of quality they want to bring to it. Jurassic World Rebirth is a terrible movie. Terrible. The script feels like it was written in crayon. Scarlett Johansson, Jonathan Bailey, pretty much every actor except for Mahershala Ali delivers some of their worst work ever in that movie. Phoning it in is too kind of a description. And the plot is nonsense. The stupid let's get together and talk about our shared trauma scene is nonsense, okay? No amount of dinosaur attacking them in a boat, which is a blatant ripoff of Jaws, and people are like, ooh, this is something original. It's something new. It's a fucking blatant ripoff of Jaws, for God's sakes. Quint scene shooting the shark. Complete almost ripoff of Jaws. And you get the stuff on the island. I've seen that in numerous other dinosaur movies or TV shows, So this idea that somehow this was some new approach to Jurassic World is utter nonsense. But I think when people say they just want to go to a dinosaur movie like this to turn their brain off, that's fine. But then you're coming for the Marvel movies, you're coming for the DC movies, ready to pounce. Why aren't you bringing that same energy to the Jurassic World, Jurassic Park movies? Those movies are also trying to establish franchises. Those movies are also trying to say intelligent shit. Those movies are also trying to have commentary about our world and about how we handle our world, man versus nature, science, believing science or not believing science. You'd have to be an utter fool to not see that those movies have those undercurrents as subplots or as themes rolling throughout their movies. Dear God, Jeff Goldblum's character is the utter representation of the themes of those movies, of the messages of those movies. He's not just a fun quote machine. Those quotes are actually saying something. Everyone was so consumed with doing it, they didn't even stop to think if they should, right? It's not verbatim, but get what I'm getting at. So these are these things, right? He's testifying before Congress in one of the Jurassic World movies about the issues that are going on and the madness of trying to create some. What are we doing now? We're doing the same things in our society now. AI is essentially a monster we are creating, scientists created, and they have launched this onto the world. And now people are going insane about AI on both sides, right? Loving it or hating it. And so this representation, so please, this idea of, I just turned my brain off and it's dumb fun. It's not a dumb movie. These are not supposed to be dumb movies. Where the fuck do you get that? Fast and Furious, those are dumb movies. Even Transformers, I would argue, those are dumb movies, right? Jurassic World, Jurassic Park is trying to be about something. It's trying to be a commentary on science, commentary on nature, commentary on how man treats nature, commentary on how man, and by man I mean humankind, man and women, how they deal with nature, or however you identify. I'm not going to be specific on that. That's a commentary throughout all of these movies. So this idea that Jurassic World is a fucking Expendables movie is some of the dumbest shit I've ever heard. For God's sakes. You've got to judge these movies in the same level that you judge Marvel and DC. But a lot of people don't. A lot of you all watching me don't. And I find that to be fascinating. So when you go to patronize a terribly written, mostly horribly acted, boringly directed movie, and then you go, well, why aren't these movies coming out better? Why aren't Marvel and DC making better movies? It's like, why? You're quite happy giving your money to dumb movies that are terribly made. You're setting the bar. And that's what the point of my tweet was, is we as moviegoers have to take responsibility as well to call out ourselves as much as we call out creatives and the studio, because it's so easy and really limited in your thinking to be like, well, it's those executives, it's those studios, it's that director, it's a DEI thing, they want to focus on women more than men, all that crybaby shit. And look, there are some elements of truth to that, I'm not going to deny, but there's a lot of that stuff that gets mixed in with legitimate criticism, and it all becomes a cacophony of noises. Why aren't you going after moviegoers for Patreon? No, because a lot of people in this space and in this world treat the moviegoers as like the saints of the world, and that's nonsense. So that was the point of my tweet, is that a post, whatever it is nowadays that people are calling it, is that we can't be afraid to call out moviegoers if we're going to call out the executives, or we're going to call out the creatives and everybody involved in making these movies, and that was my point, because it was frustrating to see, like, everyone's been afraid to say anything about moviegoers. They need to be just, it's not. And look, I know there are bad films that make a lot of money. Certainly a lot of you hate the Transformers films, and I get it. Some of you think they're bad films. I think they're enjoyable fluff, but that's just my opinion, and I'm allowed to have that opinion. Right? Just as you guys are allowed. Somebody was saying that I was calling people who like the Jurassic World movies invalid. I'm not trying to invalidate your opinion. I'm not trying to say you're invalid as a person. I'm just saying, in my personal opinion, those movies are stupid, trying to be intelligent, and they're ridiculous. And people go in large amounts to see those movies. So don't be surprised if the studios take that lesson from those movies and go, we can deliver a half-ass effort movie and make $1 billion. Like, because you're telling them that by patronizing those films. Jurassic World is not the Expendables. It is not a Rambo. Well, no, Rambo's about some of this. Anyway, Fast and Furious is not a Fast and Furious franchise. It's not. That's nonsense. Yes, there are action sequences and death-defying moments and all of that. But there's always, I mean, even in this Jurassic World Rebirth movie, there was a commentary about billionaires buying cures to diseases and trying to make money off of it instead of making it available in a socialist way for everybody to have access to the medicine and not overcharge for it. What the fuck about that is dumb fun? Come on, man. Some of you all are moving the goalposts to fit your narratives, to explain your love of those movies rather than just admitting they are shitty movies that you just love. Because God forbid you admit that. God forbid you be honest with yourself and say, I like these shitty movies. I say that much as well. I like these movies, but I know a lot of you hate them. I know a lot of you don't like them or think they're stupid or terrible. And that's totally fine. I have no problem saying that. But so many Jurassic World, Jurassic Park lovers find it themselves incapable of saying that. And I find that to be bad. But then they'll go with their knives and their forks out to go dissect a Marvel or a DC movie with relish. Yet their Jurassic World, Jurassic Park movies are somehow fucking untouchable because they hide behind the bullshit excuse that they're dumb fun. They're not supposed to be dumb fun. And I guarantee you, if we went to David Cap, hey, David, were you writing a dumb fun movie? I guarantee you he would say, fuck no, I was trying to make a commentary about what I see going on with the oligarchy, with these billionaires, with Musk and all of these people trying to corner the market and make us all beholden to them, as we just saw play out and we're seeing play out in our political landscape. So come on, miss me with that bullshit. Miss me with that bullshit. Whew, I'd say that. All right. So that's what I say about that. Buddy, I get it more than you do. That's for fucking sure. That's for fucking sure, man. There's nothing to get that is that difficult about the Jurassic World or Jurassic Park movies. Get on the fuck out of here. Eric Kirby says, I need a hug. Buddy, I snugged with my lady this morning for an hour and a half. Had some nice kisses before she left to get her hair done and before I started the show. I don't need any hugs, my man. I get hugs en masse. You need hug, my man, because I got a feeling you ain't got a lady holding you tight in the mornings on Sundays, brother man. So please, don't come here with that nonsense. All right. Anyway, let's move on from that. And look, for all of you that love the Jurassic World, Jurassic Park movies, God love you. That thing won July. It's stomped Superman. It's stomped Fantastic Four. It is going to have at least a 100 million, possibly 200 million plus victory over Superman and Jurassic World. And I don't think there were a lot of people who thought that that was going to be the case, especially after seeing the movie. But there it is. And I lost a steak. I lost a steak dinner to Christian Harloff over that damn movie. So, well, don't joke, Eric. Don't joke. You know not to fuck around with me, Eric. You ain't new to this channel. You ain't new to this show. All right. Anyway, I'm more into the late afternoon channels. If it's night, she'll still be gone. Going to be there. Jesus, you guys are ridiculous. All right. So we talked about Spider-Man costume. Oh, yeah. So let's talk about one more thing, and then we'll get into your questions, because I do want to wrap up by 12, because I am going to go live at 3 o'clock today for the SummerSlam Night 2 event. I will be there. How dare you insult the intelligence of moviegoers? Yes, Zach. How dare I? How dare all the same people who voted for Trump? How dare I insult the intelligence of moviegoers? Oh my God, hilarious. Anyway, no, there is, again, Snake Eyes says comic book fatigue. There is no fatigue of comic books or superheroes. There's a fatigue of terrible or not good or middling or half-assed effort. That's what the fatigue is. Because as I said before, in 2017, 2018, 2019, we had 3 Marvel movies every year, and people to 2021, people loved them or liked them for the most part. No one was complaining about 3 Marvel movies. It was when the TV shows came in and were middling to good to great, overall middling, mixed in with some of the less fantastic efforts, to use the term, over the last 2 to 3 years. That's what's caused the problem with Marvel. It is not fatigue. People want to be entertained. You just have to bring it. And if you don't bring it, the audience isn't going to show up anymore. That's what it is. It's not about fucking fatigue. It's about quality. Same thing with Star Wars. It's not about fucking fatigue. It's about quality. And if you're not going to bring the quality, they're not going to show up. Or if you show up for lower quality movies like Jurassic World Rebirth, guess what you're telling the studios? Don't make too much of an effort. We'll still come. So it's a mixed message that's going on here. And it is a minefield to navigate if you're a studio or a studio. Now, I'm not trying to, kiss their ass or shill for them, but they're human beings. And you got to look at it and go, I imagine it must be so stressful to try to figure out what works and what doesn't work, because your job is on the line for most of these execs that aren't the highest level like Zaslav or Feige or whatever. A lot of these executives, their jobs are on the line if these films don't do well. And if they make a mistake going on one direction or the other direction, which I think is why you're seeing a lot of these films look like Frankensteins, because so many people go in to tinker with them because they're afraid of pissing anyone off. They're afraid of offending anybody. So you deliver these safe, middling efforts that the superhero fans no longer want because they've seen what you can do. Jurassic Park hasn't been good since 1993. That was the only good movie in that whole series, just like Transformers. Transformers 1 is the only good movie in that series. And every one of the films since subsequent have not been good, yet they've made a shit ton of money. Or middling to not good, and they've made a crap ton of money. So the people who make these films aren't going like, we got to get the highest level of writers and creative directors and blah, blah, blah. Not if people are still going to go. It doesn't really matter. So anyway, S. Little says, in your opinion. Yeah, dumbass. It is my opinion. This is my fucking show. It's my fucking opinion. Of course it is. Jesus Christ. All right. So let's move on to this other thing before we get to the questions. What else did I say I was going to talk about on the show today? Sometimes I forget. Impact, Marvel, Jurassic World. Oh, the Hulk inspired. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So we got ourselves, Samir says, don't be surprised if it drops another. Yes, I'm not surprised. I won't be surprised at all, Samir. This is heading towards garbage bin territory. It is going right in dumpster fire territory. Absolutely. And no matter what Marvel tries to push out, that 500 million is nonsense. They wanted 800 million off this movie. They wanted. No way you put that. No way you put the level of marketing that they put into this movie, which some of the trades have estimated to be between 150 to 250 million dollars, with a film that already cost 250 million dollars, I believe. No way you put that much marketing and that much money behind a movie and think, oh, 500 is fine. Oh, yeah, no big deal. 500 is cool. Yeah, we made all this effort, but fuck it. 500 is good. Nonsense. This isn't A24. This isn't Focus Features. This is fucking Marvel. This is fucking Disney. Okay? They're not happy with just 500 million on Fantastic Four. That's nonsense. Utter nonsense. All right. So let's move on to this thing so a few months ago in January of 2025, I broke the story on the hot mic that both the Hulk and Punisher were coming back we're going to be in Spider-Man Brand New Day, Spider-Man 4. That was, now I couched things when I presented it in the fact that I had heard this from a source in 2024, and that source had told me that they weren't sure if this was the current script or the script from before. And I made that clear. So I couched it that way, and I said, take it with a grain of salt, because I don't break scoops. It's not my thing. Jeff does that. Boris Kitt, Justin Kroll, a few others that do. Oh, yeah, My Time to Shine, hello, Daniel RPK. Those are the people that break scoops. That's their brand, right? I don't I occasionally get things come across my desk because I know people in the business. I have a very large network of friends in LA and Hollywood who work either with people in the studios or for these studios or for these production companies. And we get together and have drinks, or we hang out, or we have text exchanges, and I hear things. I don't ever go, hey, what have you heard about? Or did you talk about? Or what about this? I don't ever reach out, hardly ever, to try to get information. I think a couple of times I've texted someone and been like, what can you tell me off the record? But that's not my job. I've never said I was a journalist. I don't have a journalism degree. It's not my thing, right? Jeff does that. The people of Variety, THR, whoever. But this came to me from a strong source, someone I know, and they had there's information that was given to them last year, and they told me the news, and then I relayed it in January to everybody. I thought I had it here, but maybe I don't. I don't know. I had written it in my notes, but maybe I deleted it because I didn't want any kind of evidence in case anyone hacked my stuff of the notes I have for this. Yeah, I don't see it. So maybe I don't have it in my notes. Yeah, I probably made a note in my. I don't know how much of this stuff gets shared. So let me see here. All the stuff in the cloud. Oh yeah, the cloud. Yeah, no. Oh, sorry. Maybe I'm looking. Hold on. Oh, I'm looking in January. We need to be looking earlier when I got the information. Oh, well, I should have had this up. My bad, y'all. I should have had this up. Sometimes I just jump on and go live. I don't have everything squared away to let you guys know about this stuff. Let's see here. Do I have it? No. Anyway, no. Yeah, no, I don't think I have it. Right. Maybe it is back in November. Anyway, all right. Well, anyway, I had gotten it from a friend. I thought I had it in my notes. I don't. Yes, Josh from Den of Nerds gave you credit for having the whole Punisher stuff for Spider-Man. Yeah, back in January. So did New Rockstars, which Jeff and I are trying to negotiate a time to come on their show and do their show, which we'll hopefully do sometime in the next few months, maybe even in the next couple of weeks if we want to come on and talk about the Fantastic Four situation and all the boxes. But anyway, I said that, and I couched it all in a way of like, look, I don't do this for a living in terms of scoops, so I'm going to say that this is, what I'm hearing. But Nexus Point News, for whatever reason, has got a hard-on about this situation, and they want to get credit for it, for the scoop. And when I responded back to them yesterday, when I had said, like, yeah, I mean, I broke this in January, but hey, believe what you want to believe, say what you want to say. I think he responded back to me with something like, I got it from a shaky source. Wait, let me find it because I do want to bring it up. I want to quote this guy directly because I was like a little frustrated by the situation, but maybe I don't know if I've got it up here, so we'll see. Anyway, yeah, I probably don't have it up here, but they responded to one of the, maybe it was under Discussing Films post on this, right? It was under Discussing Films post. Sorry. So let's see if I've got what they posted, and then, or I can go to my replies right on my Twitter. So maybe I can see it there and then bring it up. Because I don't know Nexus Point News, like the people who work there. I don't know them from a hole in the ground, to be honest with you. I don't. And I'm not trying to be mean, and I'm not trying to say they're bad people. I just was a little frustrated at the way they responded to what I'd said. So I don't know if I have it. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know if I have it here because I was responding to a few things. Oh, so I guess I responded to my tweet a little bit more than I thought I did. So my apologies there because I thought I did. I didn't. So yeah, I guess it's not there. Oh well. Oh yeah, well, yeah, I kind of went back with this. Yeah, maybe I don't. Okay. Here, oh, here we go. Okay, here we go. Here's the exchange. So here's the exchange. Now we can look at it, and you guys can make up your own mind what you think about it. And let me take down my graphic. And again, I am not doing this to attack Nexus Point News. Again, I don't know them, like personally, from a hole in the ground. I know, like, I don't know who works there. And I'm not saying that to be insulting. I just don't know them in terms of who they are. I know their company and I know their website. So here we go. Mark Ruffalo was first reported by me via Nexus Point News, and Michael Mando first reported by me via my Twitter account. I said, well, that's a lie since I broke it before you did in January on the hot mic and knew about it as early as the fall of 2024. But hey, believe what you like, bud. And he said, no, John, what you said was you heard a rumor from a shaky source during your gossip session, which we don't even watch and weren't aware of until you reacted to our article about how a previous version of the film was going to feature Hulk and Punisher. I said, no, I did not say it was a shaky source. It was someone at Marvel. I said, take it with a grain of salt because there were conflicting reports about revisions on the scripts at the time. Remember, context is king. The fact that they kept Hulk and Punisher means that they were part of the original plan, so my scoop still stands. And we don't do gossip sessions, you condescending clown. We talk real shit on the show. So this is where it becomes frustrating because the response here, I simply said, that's a lie because I did break. So when I said the Hulk was coming back, what the fuck did you think I was talking about? Like someone else playing the Hulk? Of course, Mark Ruffalo was going to come back to play the Hulk. Like, that's the thing that I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, well, I said Mark Ruffalo. You said the Hulk. What? Like, that's nonsense. That is utter nonsense. So that's why I said, no, that's a lie, because I'm like, no, it's a lie because Hulk, Mark Ruffalo, that's together. What are you talking about? Since I broke it before you did January hot mic, but believe what you like, bud. And he said, he called my source a shaky source. I never said it was a shaky source. I said, take it with a grain of salt. Someone who works with Marvel, take it with a grain of salt, because the script revisions were happening at the time, because there was that rumor that the news report, rather, that Tom Holland and Zendaya were jumping up and down over the original Spider-Man script. And then Jeff reported, I think was Jeff who reported, that there were rewrites happening of the script. So amidst all of that, I got the news in fall of 2024. And by the way, Christian heard the same thing in fall of 2024 as well from a different source. We had not talked about it. And then I got the go-ahead from my source to talk about it on the hot mic. Now, calling our show a gossip session, that's an asshole move. How about that? I'll be safe. I'll say it's an asshole move, just in case you're female, because I don't want to use that term with a woman. But that's an asshole move, man. Our show is a damn good show. I'm proud of that show. We talk a lot of news on that show. Jeff has broken a lot of stuff on that show. No matter what you feel about Jeff wearing pink Speedos or whatever and saying crazy shit on the internet, Jeff is a legitimate journalist who breaks stuff on the show. Yes, he's abrasive. Yes, he can be argumentative. Yes, he can be thin-skinned and all of that stuff. But Jeff is a legitimate journalist. He's going to lunch with sources, with agents, with managers, with creatives, with producers, with executives. While most of these people are sitting there behind screens getting stuff from PAs or wherever, or maybe they're fostering sources, Jeff is out there working it. And so this nonsense that he's just coming up with stuff out of thin air is an insult to Jeff. And so we don't just sit here and talk gossip on the fucking show. So that was a personal attack. You know what I'm saying? That was a personal attack at the show that I thought was unwarranted by them. It's an asshole move. So, yes, I said that a previous version, because I wasn't sure if it was the current version or it was the new version because the scripts were in limbo at the time. So I was trying to cover all the bases so that people, because I like to deliver things with context. I like to deliver it so you have all the angles on a topic. And there it was. So this is the thing. So to me, that's the thing that was frustrating. So I don't care. And look, why is new Rockstars giving me love, but Nexus Point News is having an issue with this? So, you know, that's the thing it's nonsense for me. All they had to say was it was reported in January by the Hot Mic that this was part of a previous version, but they've continued this and this is what we have. You know, so it's just madness. GA wants to know, can you show us a clip of what you really... I don't have it loaded up here, guys. Sorry about that. I don't have it loaded up, but you can go find it January of 2025 on the Hot Mic. It's there as a time code and you can find it. So, you know, this is madness, you know, but, you know, I don't like to get into... I know this is shocking to some of you, but I am an outspoken person. I am a person with strong opinions. I am a person who is not afraid to express his opinions. But I sure as fuck am not someone who necessarily seeks a battle. But I'm also not one who is going to shirk from one. Maybe I should be better at that. And at times, certainly when I've gotten into it on social media, which I'm really trying to stop doing. So it bothers me how much I responded to my tweet from yesterday, because I was trying to limit my responses to 4 to 5 people. And clearly I went over that. I'm trying to monitor that with myself because I don't want to get into fights with people on social media. But I will call you out if you're going to not tell the truth or not provide context or not give us credit. You know, it costs you nothing to write 5 words. Previously reported on the Hot Mic. 6 words, you know. So I work hard on that show. I work hard to build that show. I work hard on this channel. So I'm not about to let someone come in and call it a gossipy session. What a clown you are. Jeff has more journalistic integrity in his fucking pinky finger than all of you have combined. I'm talking Nexus Point News. So for you guys to call it a gossipy session is asinine. Utterly asinine. I did not insult your show. I did not call your show anything. I looked at you, Apocalyptic Horseman, and what you were saying and said it was a lie because I had talked about it in January. I did not attack Nexus Point News. I did not, and I have no issue with Nexus Point. I have no desire to attack Nexus Point News. But as I said, I don't know any of you by name or specifically by even gender there at that website, you know? So why would I attack Nexus Point News? I will attack, not attack, I will defend my show. I will call you out, you personally, you know? So this is the thing that frustrates me. So there we go. And I'm happy to come on a show on Nexus Point News, or if they want to come on the Hot Mic, we can have a discussion about this. Never been afraid of it. It's not a coincidence that a lot of these people don't invite me on their shows because they don't want to have someone contradict them. They don't want to have someone call them out or put them on the spot. I mean, ask yourself why I haven't been invited on some of these shows. Some of these shows from people who are allegedly my colleagues, allegedly my friends. Ask yourself why they've never asked me to come on their shows to talk about certain things. Because they don't want me to call them out. You know? And it's a little frustrating because it's like, let's I'm not coming in there to attack you, but let's have a back and forth. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a discussion. Let's have a debate. What's wrong with debate? I mean, debate is great. That's how you learn things, is debating people. That's how you question your own thoughts and points of views on things, is by debating people. And I think that's important. So, anyway. So anyway. All right. All right. Yeah, they don't want an opinionated Latino. Been there. Well, yes, true. I know. As a Latino, I know that white people can be can be at times abrasive or argumentative, and they get invited all the time on shows. But for some reason, when people of color are argumentative or are can be antagonistic or can be happy to debate, I know people get real unsettled by that. I've seen that my whole life. I'm not your safe one, and I will tell you my truth. Now, I'm not looking to offend you. I'm not looking to attack you, but I will certainly defend my position and defend my point of view and then question yours. And I think there's nothing wrong with that, because I appreciate people questioning mine, people who question it with intelligence, not morons with snarky fucking tweets. I appreciate that, because then I'm challenged. Can you defend your position? Can you defend your point of view? And if you can't, then I need to go. If I can't, then I need to go, well, maybe my opinion isn't as strong. Maybe there is another element to this I didn't think about. And I think that's great. That's how you learn. You know, it's a great line I read. I remember years ago reading. Someone said, the more I learn, the less I know. And that's true. And I think that's important. I know nowadays the pundit sphere and the podcast sphere is full of people who like, I'm telling you what I know. And I know I'm saying that ironically on a show called The Truth. But you know the intention of The Truth. The truth is to say, we're going to say the things that people don't want to say, and that's the truth. And so this is the situation. But I'm always open to hear other people's points of views and have my opinions changed, because I think that's essential in life. To think you're right all the time is a horrible way to exist. You know, you can believe you're right, but you've got to be open to hearing other points of views, and that changes minds. That's how progress works. That's how people, gave the right to vote to women, to people to black people, to people of color, to, so many things have changed in our world because people were open to gay marriage. People who had ideas about what they thought was right actually took a moment to listen to the other side and hear what they had to say and change their minds, or saw some logic in what they were saying and rethought their own positions. And so I love debate. Debate is so important. So anyway, yeah, Tyler's like, why don't you reach out? Why don't I do all the work to go on a show? What? That doesn't make sense. I'm not built that way. I'm not built to be like, hey, can I be on your show? Hey, guy, can I be on your show, please? That's not me. I'm not hard to find. If you want me on your show, email me, text me, DM me. I will come on your show. I mean the shows of my colleagues and the shows of the people I was with in the Schmodown. I'm always happy to come on your show if you're willing to invite me on your show. And if you're not willing to invite me on your show, you're sending me a message about what you think about me. And that's how I take it. But it's true. I never beg. All right. Anyway, let's get it going. Let's get to the questions. We had well over 400 of you joining me today. Thank you so much. I did not anticipate that many people hanging out with me today, and thank you so much for doing that. But let's get into the questions here. All right, DB South. I think it's very telling of what Disney is doing when they released that puff piece about the marketing deals earlier this week. Fans are already using that in debates. Yeah, absolutely. The PR department of Disney knows what they're doing. They sense that this is going to be kind of a flop in some ways. And I don't mean just only financial. I mean flops in reception and people's feeling about it. Because people are like overwhelmingly love Superman. And even if it comes in under 600, people are still happy about the movie. doesn't seem to be the case with Fantastic Four. So already Disney is going to release its talking points for people to use on social media. Tracy Ann Campbell says, new Rockstars gave you a shout out, but said THR confirmed. Yeah. Yeah. Well, they always get, people got to give it to people got to always look at the trades. It's just the way it is. Sadly, people need that. They need that tent pole in the ground. Never mind that the studios are in bed with the trades and the studios give the trade stuff. It's just the way it is. You have to accept that in this world. If you're an independent person out here in the sphere. Tyler B says, why don't movies stay in theaters like they used to? It seems like they go straight to digital a few weeks after release. Yeah, Tyler, that's a great point. Superman is going to digital 35 days after its release. I think it's next week. It's going to digital, or 13th, maybe the 13th. Yeah, it's because of COVID. It's because these streaming services need to have content, and they can't just rely on original content. They've got to get other content on their channel. And so that's what happens there. So, and that's what's broken. That's why theaters are mad, because of that situation. Chris Adams TV says, any thoughts on what genre hits the world after superhero movies? I'm quietly predicting mystic movies on my channel. Mystic movies. That could be fun. I like that idea. I don't know. I think comedies. Naked Gun is doing well. Not great, but it's doing well in the theaters this week. And I think 17 million, which is right around what they were predicting. But I mean, with everything that's going on in our world, for those of us who are actually sensitive about the world and sensitive and empathetic about what's going on in the world, we need comedies, and I think we're going to get comedies coming back as a genre. And already there's like 4 or 5 comedies in the pipeline to come out. So I think comedies are probably the next thing to get a genre thing. KJ said fans had figured out the movie formula. Fans understand that they don't need to rush to theaters because they know it will be on streaming in 2 months. Well, how do you explain Deadpool and Wolverine making $1.5 billion? How do you explain Barbie making $1 billion or Oppenheimer making $900 million? Like, yes, people know the formula, but if the movie is good enough, people still want to go see it in a theater. So it's clear that you're not doing enough to attract people to go see your movie in the theater. Now, it may just be the Superman brand isn't as strong a brand as I thought it was, or other people thought it was, and the Fantastic Four brand are not strong enough brands as people thought it was to get people in theaters, no matter how good these movies are. I mean, get in theaters to the point where it's $800 million, So, yeah. Tim Sim says, dropping by. What's up, Tim? Dropping by to say hi. Looking forward to tonight's SummerSlam watch along. Still planning to see Fantastic Four on Tuesday. But do you see more interest shifting to DCU than MCU in the near future with these box office performances? I would say yes if it wasn't Clayface and Supergirl. I think Lanterns is certainly going to have a strong footprint. I think people are going to be excited about DC with Lanterns as well, combined with Superman. But I think they have missed a big opportunity here to not follow up Superman with Batman and then Wonder Woman and then possibly a new Flash. Going with Supergirl certainly it pleases a certain demographic. Going with Clayface certainly pleases an even smaller demographic. But I think they're missing out by not going with bigger names. Tim Sim said, also, it's clear that as long as dinosaurs appear and there's dinosaur action, despite the mess scripts and stories, Jurassic World is still a viable franchise. Yes, at least we'll have the Infinity Saga to look back on. Yeah, because I got to be honest with you. My heart tells me that I don't think they're going to nail it with Secret Wars and Doomsday. I think they'll come close to nailing it, but I don't think they'll nail it like Infinity War and Endgame because the buildup hasn't been the same. This is the beginning of the buildup. One movie, and then maybe brand new day, and then boom, Doomsday, boom. There's no way this has been building up to some phenomenal ending, right? The ending of Infinity War, Endgame, we were on pins and needles. People forget we were on the edge of our seats wondering if they were going to nail it. J_Mobile says, it feels like we're in peak anti-Marvel climate. It feels like whatever Marvel does, unfortunately, there'll be a contingent going against it for whatever reasons. The world we live in now, I guess. I think that's valid, J_Mobile. I think absolutely. There are people whose entire livelihoods depend on bashing Marvel, depend on bashing Disney or DC. No, I don't think as much DC because DC's been pretty much a punching bag for years, but certainly Marvel now and Star Wars. Marvel, Star Wars, and Disney in general yes, there's an anti-Disney, anti-Marvel, anti-Star Wars climate for sure, because people make money doing all that. Now, it doesn't mean that some of their criticisms aren't valid. They are. But I think for the most part, from what I've seen from the criticisms, it's a bunch of made up anger, faux outrage. So yeah, so in my opinion, it's not that. It's sadly the truth the world with. But I do think things break through, or else Deadpool and Wolverine wouldn't have made $1.5 billion, and or wouldn't have gotten well received and gotten the awards consideration that it got. So I'm saying there's a level of quality that people expect from certain brands now, and if you don't meet them, they're not going to show up. And the anti-Marvel, anti-Disney, anti-Star Wars crowd certainly doesn't help. Plethoric One says not. Oh, Plethora 1C. Plethora 1C says not shocked by Fantastic Four drop. Has no replay factor. Nothing happened in the movie until the end. Oh, that's not true. I mean, the Galactus, that whole scene in the middle is the best part of the movie, not the end. The end is fine and it's fun, although a bit convenient. But that middle part of the movie is the reason to go see the movie. Everything in space is fucking excellent. So I do think that is the replayable factor of the movie. So I got to disagree with you, bro. Although seeing the numbers, you're probably right. Tracy Ann Campbell says, movie lover, you watched the first 10 minutes of K-pop Demon Hunters. And I haven't had time this weekend because of stuff going on with the Lady Outlaw and the SummerSlam stuff. So I haven't had, and last night we were watching a bunch of to finish off a bunch of shows that we were watching together. So haven't had time, but I will make time this week. I promise. Brandon says, I think that Marvel should just go back to making trilogies to their characters and slowly ejecting from the shared universe and replicate buddy team-ups like Deadpool 3. It's not a bad piece of advice. Certainly it's another way to build up, because part of the build up to Infinity War Endgame was those multiple trilogy of films for their separate characters like Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America. So yeah, totally fair. Go back to the trilogies, maybe, and I think Feige is definitely ejecting from the shared universe. There's going to be one universe, and so yes, that'll be a shared universe, but I don't think it'll be as shared as maybe people were thinking it was going to be. Fantastic 34 says, "Hey Outlaw, I like what I like. I like Rebirth. Was it better than Superman F4? No, but that's not my fault if it outdoes them." Well, yes, it's your fault if it outdoes them because you went to see it. What the fuck? What are you talking about? You went to see it, and a lot of people with your mindset went to see the movie and liked the movie, and you told other people that you liked the movie, and that influenced other people to go see the movie. And if the movie outperforms Superman and Fantastic Four, then yes, it is your fault that it outdid them because you went to see it and encouraged other people to go see it. What is this? Come on, guys. KJ said, please discuss that some movies are critic proof. Yeah, yes, 100%. There are, and certainly Jurassic World seems to qualify. I mentioned them already. Transformers, Fast and Furious. There are certain films that are critic proof and certain films that are not. And certainly those are critic proof movies. Even the Rambo movies are critic proof movies, to be honest with you. Ah, man. Fantastic says, good movies fail the box office every year and have been for decades. They miss because they miss. Just ask Shawshank. Yes, we all know that, Fred. I know that, Fred. Blade Runner is a million movies. Yes. But I don't think we've ever seen, in the last 10 years, I think we've seen more terrible or stupid movies make money. Fuck it. Let's go back 15 years. We've seen more terrible or stupid movies make money over the last 15 years, maybe even 20 years, than we have in previous decades or previous 20-year or 10-year, or sorry, 20-year windows. Name me that 1970s string of movies that were terrible and made a crap ton of money. Name me the 1980s movies that were terrible and made a crap ton of money. Hell, the 1990s movies that were terrible and made a crap ton. They are, it's in the palm of your hand. Whereas I need a wheelbarrow to show you all the terrible movies that have made money in the last 20 years. So yes, I question the intelligence level of moviegoers if we're seeing more terrible and stupid movies make stupid money over the last 20 years than we've ever had in any previous 20-year span of movies in the past. Samir says, don't be surprised if F4 drops now. Well, we talked about that one, Samir. Thank you, brother. Congrats, Superman #1 comic book movie of the year. Yeah, I guess it is. So congrats to Superman. I don't think there's anything else coming out that's comic book related, but maybe someone can clarify that for me. Although I think Avatar is essentially comic book adjacent, but yeah. Sidar Singh said, thoughts on Battinson joining the DCU? There is a real chance that if they introduce another Bat, the GA gets Batman out. Very real risk of a flop. Ooh. Yeah, I don't. Listen, I thought it was more of a possibility when I sat down and looked at the ending of both Superman and Batman again, but I don't think it's going to happen. And I think James is very clear that it's not going to happen. And considering Superman has overall been well received by the studio and by the fan base, I don't think it's going to happen. James wants his own Batman. The Alan Richson thing is starting to build, though, and that's really curious. Tim Simmons is not going to lie, feeling a bit bummed out of hearing that Fantastic Four is underperforming, as this is one of my most anticipated films of the year. I think you're going to like it, Tim. I think you're going to like it, Tim. It's just that it hasn't caught on with people as strongly as I think Marvel was hoping, no matter what they're saying now. So, yeah, but I think you're going to like it. I want to hear back from you. Let me know, brother. T. Jenny says, super sticker. Thank you, T. Jenny. Matt W. says, do you think Marvel will go back to making sequels within 2 to 3 years again? I feel like we have gotten little time with these new characters now. Shang-Chi versus how we used to get trilogies. I hope so, man. Someone else said that earlier, going back to the trilogies. It was Brandon. Yeah, thank you, Brandon. Brandon said that earlier. Yeah, so Matt, I agree. I think both of you are onto something here. The idea of going back to doing sequels within 2 to 3 years again and making trilogies out of these new characters, or at least 2 to 3. Yeah, I guess going back to making sequels. Okay, so you're saying after 2028. Yeah, I agree. I think they should do it because that's a way to get the audience to fall in love with the character and their world, so that when these characters come together, we have a lot of context as moviegoers to bring to their coming back together. So yes, 100%. Subwire says, I'm a huge fan of Iman Vellani. She's in the new Andy Serkis animated Animal Farm movie. Did you see the cast list? No, I did see the cast. Oh, I didn't see the cast list, but I don't know that I'm too sold on Andy Serkis as a director after I saw that Venom movie he directed. So, I think he's an incredible person. I love that he exists. I'm a big fan of him as a human being, but I don't know if I trust him as a director. And that Mowgli thing was fine, but it wasn't that strong. I didn't see Breathe, which he directed. Yeah, Buscemi, Woody Harrelson, Seth Rogen, Serkis, Kieran Culkin, Glenn Close, Matarazzo, Parsons, Kathleen Turner, Iman Vellani, and Laverne Cox. So, yeah, a good collection of actors, but no real big box office names. Yeah, anymore. Maybe in the past, obviously with Kathleen Turner and Glenn Close, and even maybe Buscemi and Woody, but no real big box office draws in there. So it's a strong cast, but it's not an eye-catching cast. But you shout out to Iman Vellani. Yeah, I think she's very good. I think she's a good actress who has the potential to be really great. That's what I'll say. Cooley Highs, John, thank you for all your amazing shows. Cooley High, I love you, man. Longtime fan. Thank you for being unapologetically you and keep rocking it out. Put some respect on his name. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. Cooley, you're the best. Been with me for such a long time. Whenever your name pops up, brother, always a smile on my face. Always a smile on my face. You're one of the good people in the world. Samir says, Soup's 8/15 digital release has been debunked. Oh, really? Has it been debunked? Debunked? That was in like the trades. Hold on. Superman digital release date. Oh, okay. So Superman digital release date postponed previously, but the same website. They've now changed the date to the 26th. And now postponed possibly. Oh, okay. So maybe they are postponed it. This was, yesterday, Men's Journal update. Multiple outlets, including World of Real, reported the new Superman reboot movie would be available on video on demand on August 15th. Men's Journal has learned that is untrue. According to a statement from Warner Brothers, the new film directed by James Gunn has not yet set a VOD date. The rumors of an early August release date are false. Warner Brothers has confirmed that the VOD date for Superman will be announced later, but it is not August 15th. So, there you go. It's been debunked. Great point. I had not seen that. So that was yesterday when I was busy. Sit on Singh says, do you think the anti-whatever YouTubers actually do real damage to the brand they are hating on? Feels like business model with diminishing return. Yeah, I do think they do damage. Oh, yeah, 100%. Especially with people who are looking to engage in that kind of rhetoric about these movies. I don't think they would be making the money they make. And it's, some of these guys, I don't know how many of these guys can tell the truth about how much money they make, but they're making good money. Like 6 figures, if you know what I mean. 6 figures, in the high 6 figures. Not all of them, but I've heard some of the numbers. Hush, hush behind the scenes. And it'll make your eyes pop out of your socket. And they try to play like they're poor and need your assistance or whatever, but no, it's 6 figures. Yeah, but it's a business model. But is it? Because once you make enough, you can just invest in that and you're set for the rest of your life. If you're making the mid 6 figures, which some of these really big channels are making, you can invest that wisely and live off that for the rest of your life. So how many of us would love that situation if you could make that kind of money, not engage in that kind of toxic rhetoric, but make that kind of money? Yeah. So KJ says, thank you for saying that DC is making the wrong choice for not starting their universe with Batman. DC is the house that Batman built. Yeah, I mean, I think this is very clear. Superman was good. Batman would have been incredible, but they don't want to confuse. I think James would have totally gone with Batman if the Batman hadn't come out and been such a success and there wasn't a Batman Part 2 in motion. Unfortunately, for James. For us, I hope we get it and we enjoy it. Smithy said, thanks for the show, Rocha. I think people running away from big creatures trying to eat them is so ingrained in our human DNA that it is more appealing than superheroes who have never existed before. Being eaten alive sucks. Maybe you're right, Jaws. So King Kong. Yeah, I mean, maybe you're right. Although there was a kaiju in Superman. So, the Godzilla -1, the Godzilla Kong series. Yeah, you might be right, man. You might be right. Siddharth Singh also says, but do you think the general audience will come back for another Batman within a year, notwithstanding whatever James Gunn wants? Oh, for the Batman Part 2? 100%. 100%. If they do that film and get it out in a year, people are going to be crazy to go see that movie. Crazy to go see that movie. They'll want that movie really badly. So yeah, I would say yes. All right, see if I got any. Okay, Fred Tastic, these are Streamlabs. Thank you, Fred. Hey, soon to be former outlaw. Well, I'll always be the outlaw, but the Outlaw Nation is going away. I can't understand why F4 box office is suffering. I've seen all 3 movies twice, and it's the best of the 3. Yeah, possibly, because it came out last. I had a hard time getting motivated to see it again due to fatigue. Now, that's a possibility, too. I forgot to mention that earlier, that the decision to come out after Superman, after Jurassic World, and in a very busy July with Strange New Worlds, and all these shows that came out in July that got our attention, it may have been just the wrong timing for the release of that movie. I think they thought they were going to come in and just smash everybody and make a crap ton of money and announce themselves as the king of the pile again. And unfortunately, they're getting lost in the pile. And that's a shame. And fatigue, part of that. Now, see, I will concede that it could be movie-going fatigue. I don't think I'll concede that it's superhero fatigue. Fred also said, if this movie would have been released before Endgame, I think it would have hit $1 billion. Yeah, but watching it felt like the same MCU movie they put out. Rebirth got first shot at the pie, so I believe they benefited the most. Yeah, I think so. I think that's fair. People were ready to go to the movies the beginning of July 4th weekend. Dinosaur movie chasing people around. Yes, 100%. 100%. Fantastic Four. Yeah, I think they thought they were going to grab the family dynamic, and Superman did that like gangbusters. And I think Feige's privately fuming at how well Superman has been received and how not well Fantastic Four has been received in terms of the box office. Yeah. Raya at the Glimmercast. What's up, Raya? Personally, I think Jurassic World Rebirth outgrossed the MCU and Superman this year because it focused on what fans actually love. Dinosaurs, nostalgia, and a fun adventure. No overloaded cinematic universe. Just a solid movie that knew its audience. Yeah, but Fantastic Four didn't have any overloaded cinematic universe. It literally has no connection until the post-credit scene to the Marvel Universe. None of the stuff is mentioned from the Marvel Universe. They don't casually mention a Spider-Man, an Iron Man, an Avengers in their world. They are the only heroes in their world when you watch the movie. And there's no allusion to a shared universe. So Feige thought he was doing what the fans wanted. So when you say it focused on what the fans actually love, he thought because they were rejecting the multiverse and rejecting the shared universe thing, he made a film or supervised the making of a film that was not connected to the shared universe until the post-credit scene. And the post-credit scene I thought was super lame. But even that post-credit scene arguably is not connected to the overall universe because that person isn't technically in any other universe yet, even though we know those films are coming. So I kind of reject your premise here, but I partially, because you might be right that they gave fans what they actually love, which is dinosaurs and nostalgia. But I mean, Fantastic Four is set in the 1950s, which is literally nostalgia. I mean, this is the definition of a nostalgia for an entire decade. So, I think there's counterpoints to be made with your point, Raya, but I respect your point of view, and thank you very much for sending in your Streamline, which I appreciate very madly. Very, very much. All right, let's get out of here. It's 2 hours and 11 minutes we've been on. Still 400 of you hanging out with me. Thank you so much. Honestly, I never know how many people are going to hang out and watch the stuff that I do. And so it's always an honor to have you all hang out with me. I hope you guys have a great Sunday. I hope you're enjoying your weekend. Come and join me in about 2 hours and 45 minutes when I do a watch along of WWE SummerSlam Night 2. I'm going to rest my throat for now. But I love you guys. Thanks for all the Streamlabs. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for the lively chat. As I say at the end of every one of these, I want to hear from you all. Leave me your thoughts in the comments section. I'm going to try to do time codes for this stuff. Leave me your comments in the comments section. Let me know what you think about everything and what you thought about the show, what you thought about what I had to say about all this stuff. Let me know down in the comment section below what your feelings are. Am I right? Am I wrong? What your thoughts are on the intelligence level of moviegoers, why you think Jurassic World stomped Superman and F4. Let me know all of it down there. Share it on your social media and then subscribe to the podcast. We are still the Outlaw Nation Podcast Network. That will change as well in a week, but I'd love to get our numbers up, man. We are not anywhere near where I want us to be on the podcast, and maybe there'll be a motivation for me to do just podcast only, do some podcast only shows or episodes on the podcast to get people to subscribe. But I would love it if you all subscribe there as well. So thank you so much. Hit the like button. What else? Oh, and then follow me on all my social media at the Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. The Outlaw Nation on Twitch, and Blue Sky and Threads at the Rocha Says there as well. All right, you guys are amazing. And remember what I say at the end of every one of these shows, please remember this, man. Whatever you need to do to get through the next second, next minute, next hour, next day, next week, next month, please find a way to do that. I know the world is tough out there. Hell, there are mornings I wake up and I go, man, I'm just overwhelmed by all the negativity and toxicity and sadness and hate and vitriol. And what's the fucking point, man? Like, I feel that way sometimes in the morning. I get it. I'll always have that within me, sadly, since that broke within me almost 10 years ago. But then I get up and, I roll over. I see the lady I love. I get up and think about what to do on the channel, think about what I want to talk about, watch a TV show, listen to some of my playlist music, take a walk, or just sit outside and kind of listen to nature or listen to a podcast. So I get it, man. The days are tough. And sometimes I wade into it by turning on CNN or MSNBC or the Bulwark and, and just wade into the shit pile that it is. And that can be soothing in a very weird way as well. So, but you got to do what you got to do to get through it. And as I've been saying on these shows recently, tough times are always going to come in life. No one lives a tough, free life. But look at your track record getting through the tough times. You're undefeated. You're undefeated. You'll get through the tough time again. You just gotta take it one baby step at a time, or stand still for a little bit. to compose yourself before you move. All of those are important. So, find a way to do that for yourself and love yourself enough to want to do it. That's really important. I know that's the hardest one, but love yourself enough to want to do it. All right. Thank you guys so much. Peace, 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 peace. And I'll see you guys. Some of y'all see you in a little over 2 hours. And the rest of y'all see you next time on another brand new episode or live show here on the Outlaw Nation. Oh, no, on the soon-to-be John Rocha channel. This is The Truth. Peace.